So it has now been 2 weeks since we first built the planted goldfish aquarium, which everyone said you're not supposed to put plants with goldfish because they do tend to eat them. So how have we got on? Right, in my opinion, it's doing pretty well. I mean, at first glance, look, everything's chaotic and what have you, but think of it this way, the plants are not eaten. So the one thing that I was thinking would definitely get eaten would be this one here, the pearlweed, because it's quite small and I don't know, I just thought they'd sort of chew it a bit more. But although it's sort of been pulled up, it's all in place. Now I think it's been pulled up because they'll be sifting through it, try and get some food and things like that. Because even though it's out of the water, all the edges look good. I can't see any little bits of leaves anywhere where they've been ripping it up. So I think it will survive. I just need to find a better way of anchoring it in. And so job number one is going to be taking this lot out, put it to the side for the minute. And then next, I'm just going to trim everything short. Actually, I need to turn that off. Turn the pump off, that is. Yeah, and I'm just going to hack all this down low. Right, that's the trimming done. I'm really, really happy with that. It looks quality, doesn't it? And the pearlweed's actually sending out runners and trying to grow horizontal already, which is a really good sign. It means all the plants are settling in beautifully. Now we've had a little bit of algae forming on the side of the glass there, only a tiny bit though, which is really good. Because if you remember in the previous scape where I didn't have any plants, we was getting lots of algae, like diatoms as well. Detritus was all sitting down in the gaps and not being used, whereas now it'll be used by the plants and everything. These guys are so funny, aren't they? They are due a feed, which is why they're performing, shall we say, for me. Getting bigger, definitely getting bigger. I think there's still plenty of space in this aquarium for them though. It's super clean. Their colours are showing beautifully. I don't think there's any need to change at all at the moment. We do need to get that glass clean though. Right, hang on, hold the press. None of this actually matters anymore. It hasn't gone perfect anyway. I'll show you in a second, but I'm gonna have to take the whole thing down. So it's a few days later after I did all of that, and look, loads of it has been pulled up again, which means if I'm gonna do this, I need to do it with plant weights. That'll be absolutely fine then. Just a little bit more work initially, but eventually it'll just carpet and all be locked in. You might also notice, look, we've got some guppies up in here. Why are the guppies in here, you might ask? So this tank's empty, this tank's empty. There is mess everywhere. This tank is empty, this tank's empty, this tank's empty. There's loads of tanks empty at the moment. So over the last few days, I've been emptying tanks because guess what? We're shutting down the studio. I know, I've got to. It's not working anymore. And I need to move to a new one, which is gonna be so, let me show you. So here is what we've got at the moment. Obviously we come up the stairs, little area here, tanks are emptied, some plants here, hardscape area. We go in one studio here, which is obviously still a mess, but we're getting there. And this is the space. So, you know, it's not very big, couple of steps, we're already at the other end, little alcove over there. Most of you know this is just for anyone who doesn't. Then you come back out, if you come through here, we've got the other room, which again is a bomb site because I'm clearing tanks. I've just cleared all of these out. We've got, it's gonna kill me to do some of these. But yeah, so then there's that space, about 4 steps, you're at the end. Now don't get me wrong, this space has served me so well and I've thoroughly enjoyed, really hard to say. Did I say it right? Thoroughly. I normally say thoroughly and everyone takes the mick out of me, but yeah, thoroughly enjoyed this whole space and building everything. But it's time to move on to the next chapter, which is this absolute beast of a place you can see here. A little bit echo at the moment, obviously, because we've got nothing in it, but look how big it is. So I'm nearly done, everything's nearly in. We've got a sink going in here, just had the pipe work come in and an outflow pipey thing there. So, it's so echoey because there's nothing in it, but look, here's my feet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 meters in length, maybe a little bit more because my steps were quite sort of big then. But this is the gym right here. I won't go too close because people are in there, but I'm going to be putting all mirror vinyl all up on that there. Not the top though, because we get more light coming in then. And the same on this side. I'm going to be doing mirror vinyl across this, obviously for privacy, but I'll leave that top section because let me show you what happens when you have natural daylight on your face. Yeah, when you get natural daylight on your face like this, it just looks so much better. It's really bright in here, which is great. Not so bright it's going to affect the tanks though. I've got no idea how I'm going to lay it out yet either. we've got so much space to work with. So you might be wondering how I'm going to heat this whole room, because it's way taller than the previous one was. But the secret is this big thing here. So yeah, look at that, the ceiling's massively high. This high, in fact. But we've got this really big air conditioning unit here, which you can really feel the draft, the heat. At the moment it's set to 16 degrees because obviously there's no one in here, but it'll be set much warmer than that when I've got all the tanks in. And obviously in terms of storing the energy, the heat energy, all the tanks hold it. They're kind of like radiators, and that should keep it nice and warm in here. Yep, the cost will be more than the other place, but I've got more room to do a lot more with, so all good. And at the moment I've got absolutely no idea how I'm laying everything out, but I'll sort of make that up as I go along. That's what I did in the last one. I'm thinking of putting most of the tank stands on wheels so I can jiggle them about as and when I please anyway. I have done that in some of the tanks in the other place and it works really well. Now, of course, to move all of this is an absolutely mammoth task, and I can't keep the tanks together to do it. Not a chance, mainly because we've got to go down those stairs. Everything has to come out. The hardscape weighs loads because we've got all the gravel and everything. The water, it's just not going to happen. Now, with small tanks like the cube aquariums like that one behind me, yes, I could actually sort of bring the water down and carry that across. But I'm not like that. If we're starting again and we're doing it properly, which does feel like a shame, especially when we've got all these sort of big, beautiful, established aquariums around us. But it's got to be done. So I've learned so much from everything in these studios over the past few years, and that's all going to be applied again to the new studio. So everything should be like 10 times better. I don't know why I went with 10 times better. Maybe doubly as good. I don't know, should be less errors anyway. So this tank here was a good one for letting me know that if you're gonna put jungle val in your tank, expect it to go absolutely crazy and take over everywhere. I mean, it looks great, don't get me wrong, and it does suit this style of aquascape, so like a natural sort of look. One big piece of hardscape wood just overflow and some rocks around it, some sand and gravel, and then you just get that punchiness coming through with one type of plant. We've got dwarf sage as well, but it looks like a baby version of the val, if I'm honest. So it's not complicated. I've got some others at the back, some rotala. I just put those in at a later date as a holding, and they actually look really good in there. So, but to be honest, this whole tank is actually about the fish. We've got loads and loads of rainbows in here. I love them all. Hopefully Matt will be able to hold them all for me. Probably not though. I mean, the fish shop is so busy, you can't just use all the holding tanks for my fish. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna need to do, is take all the fish back to the shop, because I don't know how long it's gonna take to do each and everything. I could do it all one tank at a time, rebuild the tank, put the fish in, but I haven't got that much available time, considering the lease on this one runs out, then I take over the new building. So all the fish will go back to Matt, and then I just rebuild everything, put more fish in. Some of them will come back, some of them won't. I haven't decided yet on anything. Obviously Timmy is staying, and all my shrimp as well, because I've got loads of those and they're easy just to transport across. And this tank here was actually quite an interesting one. The rare fish ecosystem, I've actually learned quite a bit from this tank. One of the things being, you do get what you pay for with your lighting. So this is one of the first sort of big time lights that I bought, the Chihiros WRGB2 thingy. I don't actually know what it's called. Anyway, all I know is that high-tech lighting does work so well. I've got some plant pots just chucked in at the moment, getting ready for a scape I was going to be doing, but obviously there's not a lot of point in doing a new scape now, is there? Because we're moving. We just have to be taken down again straight away. And I've actually already got some really cool ideas for the new studio. One of which is going to be like, how many different plants can I grow in a 4-foot tank? Like, that would be so cool, wouldn't it? Also it'd be like a farming tank that I can then use later on for new projects and new setups. So just always have like a place to go back to. We'll get nano fish in there as well, make it a proper ecosystem, but with just tons of colour, tons of variety. It will look kind of like a Dutchy style scape, but not so strict, because they're quite strict and quite tight, aren't they? Mine's going to be like a Dutch jungle. Does that make sense? I think that's a good way of describing it. Now in the second room we've got a lot of mess, but I've made a ton of progress. So all the tanks under here completely cleared out. This tank's been cleared out. This tank and this tank is now clear. All the plant storage tanks under there is clear. That one's clear. Now all that's left really is like, oh, hang on, no. Not all that's left is this one here is not even got anything going on. I need to clear that one out. But other than that, every single other tank has got like really good scape in it. This one in particular taught me that I'm probably a little too good at growing red plants. It's overtaking. But this one, to be honest, I absolutely love. So this was the first sort of no filter tank that I went back to doing, because many of you know when I first started, I did a lot of them because I couldn't really afford filters and things like that. And this one just worked so well with its little underwater jungle that I thought, you know what, I'm going to do it a load more times, which is what led me to do this awesome one over here. Again, just thriving, ticking along, don't do anything to it. Occasionally top it up, but you can see I've forgotten to do that for a while. And then after that one, I did this one for all the Endler guppies. And there are millions, well, that's a bit of exaggeration. There are a lot of babies in there now with them. Not at the moment. Guys, come on, don't let me down. Okay, we've got a few more sort of floating to the front now. There's so many more than that. Hang on, let me put some food in. A little pinch of this. Right, now you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, they're all coming forwards. They'll come out of everywhere. We've got different generations now of babies as well. We've got ones that are slightly bigger than the rest. And then there's extra tilly tiny ones as well. Let's see, you can see there. There's way more than even that. The others will be sort of hiding. Because one of the most successful things about this tank was the plant growth made such good cover for the babies, so the survival rates are really, really high. I mean, Endlers are pretty good anyway. They don't tend to pick off many of their young. But in this tank, you can see we've got so many. This is one that I really don't want to break down. I want to be able to take with me, but it's way too big. There's too much stuff in there and it'll just break. I mean, if I put it on a board and carry the board, but then that's going to be so hard as well. It's just too risky with the stairs. You know, trying to take that lot all the way down there, and they're quite steep stairs as well, which makes it even more awkward. Ugh. So yeah, I'll definitely keep the goldfish as well. The tank is now going through a bit of a diatom phase, which is normal for a new setup, and it is still technically a new setup, but I've already learned something, haven't I, from doing this tank. Basically, we need to make sure that all plants are sort of in little thingies, yeah, like some of these ceramic rings or whatever, and then I can bury them in and they won't get pulled up, because none of them are being eaten at all. They're just being ripped up, and I think that's when the fish are like searching through them for food and things. So yeah, you can avoid that just by putting those rings around the bases and pushing that into the sand. And another lesson that I've learned from this tank here actually is, if you are going to put moss in your tank, you need to stay on top of it or it just completely takes over. This is my angelfish tank. Now, nothing grows in here anymore apart from the moss. The moss just takes up all of the nitrates, all of the food sources. Even the Javan fern is just struggling. It's like yellow. It's like, give me nutrients. I could dose the tank. Of course I could. And then we'd have even more moss. And I knew I was taking it down, yada, yada. Yeah, I won't miss this one. Don't get me wrong, it looks pretty decent. It's like a natural environment for them. But who wants this? They're so thick. Look at how thick that moss carpet is. And to be honest, underneath it will be like brown dead moss, because it still needs some sort of light and nutrients to be able to flow through it. But that's not getting any. I just kind of left it. There's there's like a corridor that all the Cories have made, and it goes from the back area all the way around there, and then they come out here. So this is the little area that I feed. I put all the food down there so the Cories can come there. The albinos, for some reason, seem to be always there. I guess it's because they know that they're going to get food there. And oh, look, there's a gold laser, gold laser. Oh, he's stunning. Or she. Wow. Don't get me wrong, you're stunning as well, mate. So this one here is by far the nicest of all the angels. No, yeah, you're nice as well, don't worry. But it's got like proper top, bottom and blues to it. This one's pretty good too, actually. Yeah, I think they're about tied, those two. But yeah, one really good thing about this tank is that it's on a massive stand that I built. And in the new studio, I can move the tank across a bit more, and I can have like double tanks next to each other. That would be cool, because that's a 4 foot, and I've actually got enough room if I move it up to put a 2 foot next to it. Now, the archerfish tank here is one of my most recent builds, and it's going to be a shame to take this down, but again, I have to. This would be absolutely impossible to move, because we've got the giant sort of walls at the side here of all the media. And that's how we've got this sort of island composition with all the plants coming out of the top, is by building those retaining walls. This guy is so not shy at all of me anymore, always waiting for food. The other two, they always stay at the back though. He's the one that comes forward. It's just like the alpha, I guess, and he checks that everything's safe. When everything clearly is safe, because you guys aren't bothered at all. They're just like, well, we know he brings the food, we'll just go crazy in front of the camera for him. And what's cool is they still do all the spitting as well quite regularly. I put more food up here just to test out their natural instincts, and they nail it every time. Although you can see here, some of the peace lily at the top is not doing great. That's because it's colder at the moment, so I've had to raise the temperature of that there. That's the sort of aircon unit. It is blowing out too warm air for this particular plant. I don't know why the one behind it, oh, it makes sense actually, because that's not getting blasted. It's just coming ahead of it, so not doing great. These leaves, or that one, but that's fine. In the new studio, I won't put it near anywhere like that. So yeah, we have got loads going on. I've got so much work to do, but sometimes when you've got big tasks like this, I actually look really forward to it because I can visualize the end result, and that kind of makes me excited and motivated to just crack on. With a project this large, you know, like taking everything apart and then building it, moving it, you cannot procrastinate. You've just got to crack on and do it. Don't think too much. If you think, you just like, oh, but you just got to keep going one step at a time. Eventually, we should end up with something that looks so good and an awesome new building to be in.